Today I wanted to test how important is aim assist to playing on a controller in Warzone. So I did a 3-hour stream with a mixture of solos, duos, normal battle royale, some resurgence with aim assist completely turned off just to see how I'd do. Now bearing in mind I was doing this the day after I recorded yesterday's video where I was doing absolutely terribly. I played all of those games with jack frags and we were really struggling. I don't know what it is about Warzone right now, but it feels really difficult to me, whether I've got worse or the average player has got much better, or whether I'm just in some really difficult matchmaking. But over the last week or so, every game seems really difficult, so I kind of thought I didn't have much to lose by turning aim assist off. But as you can see in the footage here, I was doing just as well with aim assist off. I was getting tons of kills. No, not really, this is just edited together. These are just some of the times where it went well. In general, the results were pretty much what you'd expect, but there were a few surprises. So in this video, I'm just going to break down all the things I learned by playing for about 3 hours without aim assist. First of all, I found that my biggest problem with aiming is horizontally. Now, I'd seen this when I was playing with aim assist on over the last week. I'd kind of recognized this as a problem, that a lot of the time I'd be aiming at an enemy and I'd be kind of hitting a few shots. Then suddenly I would snap off to the right or the left. And what I thought was happening was that I was probably wiggling left and right all the time, but aim assist was kind of keeping me roughly on target. And then when I broke the bounds of aim assist, when I broke the limits of it, that was when I suddenly saw these snaps off to the right or left, where suddenly I was kind of aiming outside of the bubble that was around the players, and then that caused it to look like I was suddenly veering off, whereas really it was more of a gradual thing. And this was confirmed in the gameplay. I definitely, when I'm aiming at enemies, don't seem to struggle so much vertically. I seem to be able to control recoil pretty well, but I do aim left and right pretty much randomly, almost as if my thumbs are just shaking. And this is clearly where aim assist is having like the biggest impact. It's doing the most for me, is when I'm kind of tracking someone who's running horizontally, which is pretty common in Warzone. Obviously, there's a lot of times where someone's running almost perpendicular to you. That happens all the time. And when you're trying to shoot them, keep up with them, aim assist helps to slow your reticle down while you're aimed at them, and it does a little bit of help in kind of turning you. It's not enough to keep up with the enemy. You know, you see some of these stupid videos about aim assist where people are saying, hey, look, if this person's running backs and forwards, it's basically keeping on them the whole time. I know, I've done an experiment. You can check out my video from a couple of years ago where I did this on Modern Warfare 2019, where I tried every situation and how aim assist could affect it. To get that effect where someone's running backs and forwards in front of you and you're keeping the reticle on them all the time, just using rotational aim assist, they have to be at a very specific distance away and they can't run too far in any one direction. It's a very kind of unrealistic situation that looks really cool in a TikTok video, but isn't very realistic for kind of what happens in a Warzone match. Normally what happens in a real game is that somebody constantly runs one way or the other, and then very quickly they will kind of escape the rotational aim assist. You have to be doing some manual inputs to be able to keep up with them. Or they're also moving vertically a little bit, or obviously they're going in and out of doors and things like that, or they're a bit too far away or a bit too close. If they're too close, they're kind of angular velocity, this is all getting very scientific, but they're kind of where they are if you think about yourself as a compass in terms of degrees. They can move around you 90 degrees very quickly if they're close to you. Rotational aim assist can't keep up with that at all. Or if they're too far away, then aim assist doesn't seem to have that much of an impact. There's just a kind of sweet spot, which is probably about 5 to 10 meters away, where it does feel like it has quite an impact. In my experiences today, after turning aim assist off, this is where I had the most trouble, was when people were probably about 5 to 10 meters away and they were running horizontally in front of me, maybe wiggling a little bit backwards and forwards, doing a little bit of strafing. It was much harder to keep the reticle on them. This is particularly apparent in the Gulag. I guess because pretty much all of your fights in the Gulag are about that distance and people don't have that many options of how to move, so they tend to be kind of moving backwards and forwards, strafing a little bit while they're shooting. I found it very, very hard to fight people. I find it quite hard to see people in this Gulag anyway, and I think sometimes aim assist is maybe doing some of that work for me, where it's helping me to keep me on target, even if because of muzzle flash and things like that, I can't really see the enemy. Now let's look at some of the situations where I was a little bit more surprised. First of all, sniping didn't feel very different at all, and I'm not really sure why this is. I think there's possibly two things going on. First of all, maybe aim assist doesn't actually have that much impact when you're looking at someone a very long way away. That seems a bit counterintuitive, because that feels like that's when you'd need aim assist more, when someone's very small on your screen. But generally when you're sniping, you're not moving around too much in terms of, again, your kind of field of view, the angular velocity that they have compared to you. Enemies probably aren't moving that much. You know, they might be sprinting and only moving 1 or 2 degrees in your field of view. So it doesn't have that much of an impact. Also, I think sometimes aim assist, if you were sniping, I could imagine it kind of moving down to their chest. And then if you're constantly trying to aim at someone's head, it could probably get in the way a little bit. Turning aim assist off, sniping didn't feel any easier or harder. I think if anything, it felt a little bit easier to try and shoot someone in the head. Maybe because there wasn't some sort of slowdown effect trying to drag it towards the body. Or maybe it was purely a psychological thing. But I didn't really notice that sniping was changed at all by not having aim assist on. Secondly, and this was a little bit more surprising, this seemed completely counterintuitive to everything that I thought. When I was in a really close fight with people, I didn't notice the lack of aim assist anywhere near enough. Now you might think, obviously, if you're in a really close fight where you're not needing to ADS, you can just hip fire, you can just sort of spray and pray, then why would you need aim assist? But I've always heard that one of the big things of aim assist is that if you're in a close fight, someone on keyboard and mouse can't keep up with someone who's moving quickly, whereas someone with rotational aim assist can. I think it might just be that people on a controller have an easier time just using 2 analog sticks to kind of move and keep someone on their screen than someone using a keyboard and mouse can. Maybe that's just me, but I found that when people were very close to me, there wasn't really any difference in whether or not I could hit them or not, and whether or not I could keep them on a screen and keep track of them. I don't think rotational aim assist is generally powerful enough to keep someone kind of locked onto your screen if they're jumping past you, if they're jumping around you, or in any other situations like that. Instead, you're just trying to keep track of them and move yourself kind of independently with your left and right sticks, and it's just not that difficult to do. It's not that difficult to kind of work out where they're going to be. There might even be a little bit of a benefit in turning off aim assist, because then you're completely in control of all of your own movements. I had the kind of movement sensitivity curve, whatever you call it, on linear, which means when I move my analog stick, it's very predictable how my character is going to move. And I think that that maybe helps in terms of, as long as I know in my brain what's going on, where the enemy's jumping, I could keep them on the screen fairly easily. Now, whether I could kill them or not, it's a completely different matter. But it didn't seem to affect it that much whether I had aim assist on or not. So, in conclusion, is aim assist always going to do all of the aiming for you? Absolutely not. Is it possible to play without aim assist? Yes, controllers can kind of cope without aim assist. It is a lot harder, but it's not terrible. Is aim assist useful for controller players? Absolutely. It's super useful, particularly in that kind of 5 to 10 meter range when enemies are running around. It definitely helps a lot in keeping the enemy kind of centered and keeping your crosshairs on them. I think a lot of the time what's happening is it's kind of dealing with the movement of keeping the enemy in the center of your screen, so then you still just need to do that fine bit of aiming about, you know, whether you're doing recoil control, whether you're keeping up with their changes in movements, whether you're trying to get headshots, things like that. There still is a level of skill that will differentiate someone who's bad and has aim assist compared to someone who's good and has aim assist. I definitely don't agree with the idea that it's doing the aiming for you, but it is a big help in that particular situation, and that situation is pretty common within Warzone. Now, while I don't think aim assist helping people in that way is overpowered or anything like that, I kind of think it's fine. Like I said at the beginning of the video, people still choose to use keyboard and mouse or controller, so it must be in a pretty good situation. There is one situation where I think aim assist is overpowered, and I don't see people talking about it very often. Now, this has been a problem since the very beginning of Warzone. It might have even been a problem before in Blackout and things, but I didn't really think about it back then. And that's that if you're holding an angle in Warzone, or maybe in other first-person shooters as well, say you're looking at the edge of a wall or you're looking at a doorway where an enemy keeps peeking, sometimes with aim assist, it will actually wobble a little bit before you see the enemy. This also happens if maybe you're looking in water or if you're looking into a smoke cloud. occasionally you just get an extra little bit of information from the way your aim assist is reacting, letting you know that there is definitely an enemy there, maybe even giving you a little bit of information about how they're moving. So when someone is running up to the corner of a building, if you're already aiming at that building and waiting for them, you get a tiny little bit of movement just before they get around the corner, and that might help you to react a little bit quicker. That might help you to make better decisions about how to kill them. Now that definitely seems overpowered. That seems like something they could probably do without. I'm not sure if there's a name for it, but it's almost like you have a kind of intuition built into your aim assist that gives you an unfair advantage, because people on keyboard and mouse just literally don't have that. It's almost, to me, like the same kind of level as when you see someone's gun poking through a wall or something like that. You know, when you see something like that where you think, that's a glitch, but that did help me to work out exactly where someone is. Sometimes aim assist does that too, and I think that's probably a little bit unfair. But that's my thoughts on aim assist. Let me know in the comments what you think about it. Is it overpowered? Is there some element of it you think is overpowered, or do you think it's just about right? And I do strongly recommend people try playing without aim assist. I think it really gives you an interesting perspective on what it's doing for you. And I think if you actually practiced fairly regularly without aim assist, when you turn aim assist back on, it's going to make you kind of appreciate it a bit more and maybe make it a little bit easier to get your aim dialed in. Hopefully on tomorrow's stream, I'll be streaming at 9 AM here on YouTube and on Twitch, so make sure you go watch that. Hopefully on tomorrow's stream, when I turn aim assist back on, I'll be absolutely amazing and I'll be winning every game. We'll see. See you tomorrow. Goodbye.